Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 171, I think, of your favourite Formula 1 show. Yes, Jamie and I are back this week to discuss all the goings on from the Chinese Grand Prix until we sat down this morning and said, honestly, it was near enough a week ago, we can't really be bothered to talk about it too much. There's so much more interesting stuff to potentially talk about today. So let's give you a quick recap of the Chinese Grand Prix, shall we, Jamie?
Let's do it.
Max Verstappen won
Both races. Shock.
both races, and Lando Norris took pole in sprint qualifying. Max Verstappen took pole in real qualifying.
Indeed.
So if we have a look at actually we'll get our predictions wrapped up quickly before we go into it. So you got 2 points for a Max sprint win, 2 points for a Max real win.
No, I didn't. No. I put Perez to win the sprint.
Sorry, yes. Perez for the sprint win, yep.
Max for pole.
Max for pole, which you get 2 points for. Max for the win, which you get 2 points for. And you got Perez and Norris the wrong way round.
Yeah,
so you got 1 point each for them. I thought you were going to get that back.
So I'm on 6, which is pretty good.
So you got 6 points, which is pretty good for a weekend. I got Max sprint win, correct. I got Carlos pole incorrect.
I forgot you did that. That's funny.
I said Max wins, so I got 2 points there, and I said Leclerc and Carlos on the podium, so I only got 4 points this weekend.
All right, that makes it 26 to me. Very nice.
Yep.
And it makes it 17 to you.
Oh,
You got a bit of catching up to do already.
I got a fair old chunk of catching up to do as we move our way into the midpoint.
A few
of
shout outs
the
from
season.
China. Zhou Guanyu, I'm gutted that he only got 9th in the sprint.
Yep.
Because he's not
It's
going to
his
get many
first top
points.
10 of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not going to get many points opportunities, and he's already finished 11th in a GP and 9th in a sprint this season, which is a bit frustrating. But Nico Hülkenberg did very well in the GP, so we'll take that. Lance Stroll did not, that's it is expected, unsurprising. But Stroll blaming Ricciardo for Stroll running into the back of him was not the smartest move. And
No.
Yeah. What else really happened? I mean, Lando Norris got P2 in the race. Hamilton P2 in the sprint. I'm sure you're very pleased about that.
I didn't watch it because it was at 4 in the morning.
Yeah, fair enough. So.
And I thought after his heroics in qualifying, should have been pole, but we'll ignore that. No, Lando Norris, that was mad on that final run anyway. I just thought Lewis would go backwards. Codemasters would have, exactly. Make Codemasters the FIA.
Yes, there we go. And just for clarity's sake, because we've done it every other week, drive of the day and race rating for China before we move on.
I feel like it was not the worst sprint weekend we've ever had. I guess the good thing was obviously sprint qualifying was easily the best bit of the weekend. I guess the good thing with that, though, of course, was the fact that the sprint grid and the real grid were quite mixed up.
Yeah.
So obviously it did mean they felt like two very, very different races for the most part. I mean, it's just, this is kind of what we said pre-show, wasn't it? It was just another F1 2024 race, wasn't it? So I think giving it any more than about a 6 for me is probably...
I was going to say 6 as well.
Yeah, I think a 6, all in all, is all we can really sensibly give it. In the end, driver of the day, I think probably Lando Norris. Pole position Friday night. P2 in the race, split the Red Bulls, which was pretty good going. And once again, further extends his most podiums without a win tally over Nick Heidfeld.
Surely Heidfeld will get that back at some point.
I feel like we're getting more and more to a place where we're going to keep saying, surely Nick Heidfeld's going to get that record back. And I'm sure whoever had it before Nick Heidfeld, everyone was saying the same about Nick Heidfeld.
Maybe. Maybe. I believe it was Ronnie Peterson. Stefan Johansson. What? I can't remember. Someone Swedish or something like that. Scandinavian, I think.
Well, Ronnie Peterson, I believe, was a world champion.
No, he wasn't.
Was he not?
No.
He was definitely a race winner.
I think he won a race, yeah.
Ronnie Peterson, he was born on Valentine's Day, fun fact.
Stefan Johansson, did I say that?
He won 10 Grand Prix, yeah. Stefan Johansson was the other one you said.
There you go. He's 3rd place, will go back to 2nd. But I'm sure...
Or will he?
I'm sure Norris will win a race, I'm sure. It's like Jenson Button, they said he'd never win a Grand Prix, to quote.
He's done it, Jenson
Get in
Button.
there.
Oh, we've rambled immediately.
There we go.
This is not good. Although, to be fair, we did get some comments a couple of weeks ago on one of our other rambly episodes that people said they did quite enjoy it. So I guess we just make a rambly show from now on every single time.
Every single week. I do hope not.
But to be fair, yeah, we kind of said as well, there's actually been quite a lot of stuff going on in the Formula 1 world, kind of over the weekend, and then we couldn't record earlier in the week because Jamie was running a half marathon. So first of all, I'd like to say congratulations to you, because you did pretty well.
I did, thank you. I was very pleased. 1:51 and 9 seconds for anyone who asked, which is probably not many of you.
Oh! I misread that then when you tweeted it.
What?
I thought you just got under sub 2 hours. I thought you did 1:59.01.
No, I went 1:51. I was rapid.
Oh, that's even better. Fair play,
up.
sir. That's really good going.
Yeah.
I could not keep up with you for a half marathon at that pace right now.
Yeah.
I need to try and get back into running, but
I might do a full next year. We'll see.
Do it.
We'll
do
see.
it.
I'll vlog it.
I'll run a half marathon quicker. Go on, do a knowing wheel marathon exclusive.
Definitely not.
It'd be wild.
But yeah, we'll see. It was good fun, but the race started Austrian time at the same time as the GP, so I had no chance of watching it live, sadly. But I heard it was alright. But yeah, sadly, I couldn't record until today because I was in Austria. So there you go.
He's living the hype. Once again, ladies and gents,
Yeah.
Jamie183 travelling the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're in Austria, which is probably, I don't know what our demographics are like, but in Vienna, which is where I was, there's a class F1 experience. So genuinely really good. And I'd recommend. It just had so much cool stuff. Like, it had Grosjean's burnt out chassis from Bahrain, which is really cool and well worth a look. And they had the amount of Senna helmets was crazy. So yeah, if you're in Vienna for any reason, or in Austria, it tours the world. So it was in Madrid before. Now it's in Vienna. I don't know where it's going next, but yeah, F1 exhibition. Go check it out. Hashtag ad.
Exactly. Yeah, Jamie's got a sponsored link if you want to click that. So, Jamie, in our lifetime, for your Austrian stats, we have had 45 viewers.
There you go. All 45 of you. Get down.
They have averaged 18 seconds of the podcast before they got bored.
Wow. Probably because they don't speak English. That might be why.
Oh, well, let's blame it on that. Let's claim it's that. I reckon.
Let's move on from my antics over the weekend.
Let's talk then, Jamie. We've got quite a few list of random talking points we want to do today, so there will be timestamps linked down in the description below. The first one was kind of instigated because of Lance Stroll in a weird way, wasn't it? Obviously, Lance Stroll took out Daniel Ricciardo, was obviously then stopped again, I believe, and had a mad battle with Kevin Magnussen, which I'll be honest, I was adamant they were going to have a crash.
Yeah.
But it has once again made us question whether points should be given to everyone that finishes.
I don't like that, personally. I don't think I like that. The conversation started because pre-weekend they basically said we might change the points to be top 12, but they wouldn't make first to 8th any different, or first to 7th any different, I think. But basically from 7th, which gets 6 points right now, it would then just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which would take it down to 12th, I believe.
12th, yeah.
So I don't mind that, to be honest, because in a 20-car grid, if everyone finishes, then finishing 12th is still quite an achievement. The thing that I'd worry about is in races like, I don't know, like Germany 2019 is the first one that pops my head, where you've got 11 finishes. Someone could have an atrocious race. They could spin 15 times, be 3 laps down, and they could finish 11th because there's only 11 finishes, and they'll get a point for that. And I don't particularly like that, personally.
But if someone's been able to survive, then shouldn't they deserve the points over people that didn't? I think this is the interesting aspect, isn't it, of course, was obviously for so many years, because obviously a lot of people are saying, oh, well, it just gives a random team, if they have a good result, a huge opportunity to score big points.
That's what it's about.
That happens anyway. That's just... Yeah. I mean, there's so many seasons, isn't there, where someone gets, a lucky few points somewhere that makes the difference, which is kind of a part of Formula 1.
Yeah, totally.
I wonder... I think the problem, of course, is with it is... I was thinking, if you go down to 12th, more than half the drivers are then scoring points. Which, apart from a couple of rogue races here and there, like the start of 2015 I can think of, never in Formula 1 has more than half the grid, if they finish the race, been scored points. do we just go the whole hog and let everyone score points like they do in IndyCar?
I really don't like that at all.
I think the problem is what obviously made, like, for example, the great thing was obviously when it was just 6 drivers that score points, is occasionally you would get those fairy tale stories where a backmarker team, because they built a reliable car, and cars weren't that reliable, even in the early 2000s.
What do you think, Mark
obviously,
Webber?
it meant that they still had an opportunity. Exactly. Mark Webber at the start of 2002, his first points for Minardi, fun fact, ladies and gents, meant they outscored Toyota that year, which is quite impressive. But it's kind of like... That was obviously at a time where I think reliability was still floating at like 60%. Reliability now, over the course of an entire season for all the teams combined, is in the mid-90s.
You probably have
no
one
one retires from
average.
Grand Prix anymore.
Yeah, I would say you have between 0 and 1 expected retirement from a Grand Prix because of reliability. Obviously we had Bottas this weekend, and I think that was it. The rest were all crashes, weren't they? So
Tsunoda got taken out. Ricardo got taken out. They were the only other two that didn't finish.
Yeah, and to be honest, you don't see mechanical retirements that much unless you drive a Sauber
or an Alpine.
Yeah. But I don't know, I feel like you shouldn't get a point for finishing last. I don't like that at all.
It completely skews the statistics, doesn't it? But I think a lot of people hated it when the 25-point system came in.
Yeah, because it devalued the points records. But then points records, they don't mean very much at all, because of that change in 2010, pretty much. But yeah, I'm not fully against the idea of giving top 12 points. I think I am fully against giving everyone points because, Logan Sargeant shouldn't be getting points for finishing last place.
But I guess obviously if the points are worth less, then it would change very quickly the dynamic. I think personally, they should allow the top 12 to score points if there's 22 cars on the grid.
Yeah, maybe. Or the top 11.
I think that would be better, yeah. If it's still that 10 drivers can't score, let Andretti in. Let them cook.
Yeah, and this is basically only a problem because there's such a divide between the top 5 teams and the bottom 5 teams.
Oh, exactly.
Because
it's only a problem because of that.
The reason people want it is because, you've got Albon and Joe and people like that have finished 11th, had very strong races, and they've been rewarded with nothing apart from a count-back score. But then that's kind of how it goes. And, if there is a crazy race where, Kevin Magnussen finishes 5th, and that means that he wins the battle of all the backmarker teams despite being rubbish all season, then fair play. He deserves it.
Well, I think, again, this goes back to the old adage, doesn't it? I've always got an opportunity to try and squeeze Paul Starlight into one of these if I can. But you look at USGP 2005, obviously he was apoplectic. Because, of course, Minardi and Jordan, none of them had scored a point all year. And Minardi, I believe, going into that weekend were ahead on countback because their reliability was better. And obviously he knew instantly that was it. They were done. And, of course, at the end of the year, the team was gone.
Yeah.
Those kind of things make the difference for Formula One teams as well. They can be the difference between survival and your team's gone under. Yeah.
And you kind of think, it's often in the crazy races that someone random just shows up and does really well. So, I'm thinking 2018-19 kind of time. Obviously, I'm a Hulk fan. He was finishing best of the rest pretty much every week. And then you get to the crazy races, and then someone like Danny Kvyat gets the podium, who's been pretty average the rest of the season. So, yeah, I think that's just kind of how it goes. And that's kind of what F1's about.
That's part of the magic, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
It is a very... I'm personally, I think, of the belief of... Again, this problem has only really come around because we've now got 5 teams that are always scoring points.
Well, 4.5.
Unless your name's Lance Stroll. Exactly. Lance Stroll is genuinely making this season unironically interesting in that regard.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like... I think unless we... Because obviously the main reason why the points was changed for 2010 was obviously we had 3 new teams on the grid. Obviously we have 4 more cars effectively. That's why it was tweaked. So it went from 12 cars weren't going to score to 14. Unless the grid gets expanded, which I really desperately think they should still be looking into, but clearly they're not interested.
Well, Andretti is still going ahead as if they're going to get added, aren't they?
Well, I think they're basically trying to force F1's hand, but it wouldn't surprise me if they still don't get in.
No,
I mean, for 2026, I would be... obviously there's other things at play and that kind of thing, and obviously it's all politics at the end of the day. Formula 1 always is. But if I owned if I was like in a position of power in Formula 1, you're looking at those 2026 regs, you're looking at Audi coming in, Ford being kind of there, kind of not. I would absolutely be wanting to try and get a couple more teams on the grid at least.
Yeah, and I think they should. I think they will actually as well. If I had to put money on it, I'd say Andretti will end up on the grid. They're just going ahead as if they presume they're on the grid. And at some point, F1's going to be like, yeah, we can't really say no anymore, can we?
Well, they've even said they'll run an F2 and F3 team.
Yeah.
Which is mad, which never happens.
Yeah, so it really wouldn't surprise me if they do end up on it. I just think it's massively political at the minute.
Entirely political, isn't it, still? That kind of... Obviously, we mentioned Audi there. That kind of segues us into our next talking point, because I'm sure Jamie183 is going to be very, very excited about this potential news. We've read two different articles about it, which are saying slightly different things, but the main message is Hulk to Audi.
We love it. We absolutely love it. Get him out of Haas and into a team that has some ceiling.
It is Sauber.
Yes. Yeah, he's been at Sauber before, which, didn't... It was all right. He finished fourth at career. That was about it. Not front row, third place on the grid at Italy too. But there you go. Yeah, I think it's a really good move for him if it happens. The reports are saying it's either for 25 or for 26, but it is regardless to the end of 27. So he'll be racing until he's 42, which I quite like. It just makes his podium record absolutely unbeatable of most races without a podium. Yeah, I think it's a good move for all parties. German driver in a German team, very safe pair of hands. He's going to deliver decently. One thing I would say, obviously the talk has been about Carlos Sainz quite a lot as well, and the talk is he's got a very lucrative offer on the table from Audi as well. Which Red Bull say they can't match, which is interesting. Well, they say they don't want to match anyway. I think for Sauber's sake, it would be dumb to announce both those drivers mid-season or even early season. We're still only 6 races in. So, because obviously if they announce Sainz and Hulk, Bottas and Joe have got nothing. Like, they're not going to try and help the team. They'll check out, I think.
Unless they want to prove themselves to other teams.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They would be so unhelpful because they're just trying to... They're self-interested at that point. They're not working for the team. So I think they should announce one of them and then kind of have the drivers have a shootout.
Well, this is kind of based on the proviso that both drivers will come in for 2025, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if it's 2020... If, say, for example, even if it was the other way around, Hulk was confirmed next year, Sainz was actually 2026, where he'd go for a year... we don't really know, and they kind of said, look, whichever one of you does a better job, he's keeping the seat. Then obviously you have got still 2 drivers that are going to go for it, and Bottas keeps the seat.
Joe's actually had better finishes this year. Just putting out there.
Yeah, but Bottas also has another pit stop that's taken less than a minute. But there we are. To be fair, Joe's not having
neither is Joe.
But I think the other thing as well, of course, is that's also based on the idea that will Audi care what happens this year?
Yeah, it's true. Probably not. And
if you're in a position,
the car is not awful.
If you're in a position where you're Audi and you want Hülkenberg and Sainz in that car next year, this year's car has not got your name on it. It carries none of any kind of reference to yourselves. Why do you care if they finish last? As long as you've got the 2 drivers you want in the car ready for when you start, it doesn't matter. does it?
But it's
for
still
a
the
company
same.
Like Audi,
it is still the same bunch of engineers, and it's still the same staff, and it's for 25 at least. It'll be an evolution of the same car. So you do want to have helpful development throughout this year. Otherwise, you're starting next year or step back as well. So I don't know. I feel
but
like
if all the focus is on 26 anyway,
yeah, but next year it will have their name.
car isn't officially an Audi.
No, but it will have the logo on it probably.
Well, we don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah, and to be honest, that car is not the slowest. I think it's better than the Williams for definite, and the Alpine at the minute. But they just haven't. They're very inefficient at taking the opportunities. Even back when Raikkonen and Gio were driving for them, they just always mess up when they've got a chance.
Well, we'll have to do the Antonio Giovinazzi conspiracy at some point, because that's a fantastic deep dive.
I've actually not heard of that before.
Have you not heard of it? I think it was 2020. How many points?
Oh, yeah.
No, sorry, it might have been 2021, actually, I think. How many points Gio got thrown away because of poor strategy that year? He's mad.
Yeah.
But, I think, of course, any of those bottom teams still, I think Haas, honestly, have probably built the best race car of the lot.
No, I think VCarb.
AlphaTauri probably have got VCarb, have probably got the best qualifying car, but I think Haas genuinely...
I just think the Haas drivers are better.
Coming into this year, I think there's probably an element of that as well, but I think genuinely when you think we were talking at the start of the year that Haas might be kind of a second off anyone else, they've done miraculously well so far.
Yeah.
I've said this for years. I was kind of always a little bit sceptical of how good Gunther Steiner really was as a TP. And of course, we'll have to wait and see how Komatsu does in the long term. But he's immediately come in and revitalised that team.
Yeah. It just seems like he knows what he's doing. And you never really got that impression with Gunther. He was just kind of vibes. Whereas Komatsu... He
was a little bit kind of,
like, if you look
vibes.
at even... you see a similar kind of comparison between James Vowles and Claire Williams, for instance, at Williams. James
Claire
Vowles
Williams
is very
better.
strategic and very thoughtful. Claire was just there because she's the daughter of Frank.
Well, I still want to know what happened to Jos Capito, because I liked Jos.
He was alright,
and
wasn't he?
that was all sort of, this again going down a rabbit hole, but that was kind of all in the, the team principal shuffle. It was suddenly James Vowles is confirmed to Williams, but where's Jos Capito going?
Poor guy.
We quite like him. He's sweet.
Yeah, who knows? He's
I think he's gone back into Audi or somewhere German again under some kind of program.
No idea.
But yeah, it's just sad to see him kind of disappear suddenly, wasn't it? It was a bit odd. Speaking of Williams, though, Jamie, we've kind of half segued there. A rumour on the street, and we're not sure whether we believe this one as much as the last, Kimi Antonelli could be replacing Logan Sargeant as soon as after Miami. Literally one race from now.
Not a chance
Apparently.
in my mind. I just think if he'd set the world alight in F2, maybe. But right now he's really not. And
yeah, but that's also because Prema can't set up the car for the first time ever.
Yeah, it's true. But there's no need to rush it. I just think a year in F2 will do in the world of good. I just think 2 years in F2 will probably be better for him. I just don't.
Yeah?
I don't buy this at all. And I actually think Sargent's been quite hard done by if this does happen, because it would be him who's going. And
well, yeah.
Sargeant hasn't really... I mean, obviously he's not been particularly good, but he's not been absolutely awful either. And obviously he's got his car robbed from him in Australia. So, I don't know. I feel like it's harsh to drop him after 4 races. Despite, I think he has finished last in pretty much all those races.
I think the big question you've got to be asking yourselves here is, do you see Logan Sargeant with a seat next year?
No.
Do you see Kimi Antonelli potentially having a seat next year?
Potentially, yeah. I think he's got more chance than Sargeant has.
Is Sargeant bringing big money to that team?
I'd probably not. I don't actually know.
No, he's not.
He's just an academy driver, isn't he, that they put in?
Yeah, exactly.
Because
I still always believe that Sargeant was pretty much bought in by Williams as kind of a statement to the other teams to go, and actually we're kind of here to fight for ourselves again now. And you say obviously it's a bit harsh. Like we said, neither of us can see a world in which he's got a seat next year.
No.
And Kimi Antonelli, I can see him having a seat next year. If Williams are interested in potentially trying to do a few other bits and pieces, they want to spend their money elsewhere. If Mercedes go, yeah, we'll give you your engines free for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I guess.
You get Lob Antonelli in the car.
Yeah, after Miami, though, does seem extremely early in the season.
It's very early in the season. Well, the other problem, of course, as well with that is that you would need special dispensation from the FIA. Because I don't know the exact numbers, but he might be even younger than Max when he debuted. It's close.
I don't think so quite, but it is close. So he'll be 18 in August.
Max. Well,
Max,
that was the other thing I looked at, Jamie.
What was that?
So, of course, if he couldn't get special dispensation, do you know what Grand Prix is directly the next Grand Prix after the 25th of August when he turns 18?
It's Italian Grand Prix, is it not?
It's the other Italian Grand Prix.
There you go. Home race. Get him in.
All I'm saying.
And it's the easiest Grand Prix to make your debut, as Nick de Vries proved to us. So,
As de Vries, that is a fantastic point, isn't it? As well, unless if it doesn't happen at Imola and Sargeant continues not to perform very well, we could already be. I mean, technically, I guess he could do Dutch Grand Prix because he's 18 on race day. Not bad 18th birthday present either.
I don't think you could because the event starts on a Saturday, doesn't it?
But I think the FIA would give him dispensation then.
Yeah.
Surely.
Potentially. I don't buy this at all, personally. I don't think this will happen.
But you hate Kimi Antonelli for some reason.
Antonelli.
It's the main reason why I believe he's going to win the F2 title this year.
No.
You don't like
him.
It's
the reverse jinx. I don't like Antonelli, so it means he's going to win.
He's locked in now. All betting companies are going to have him on 1-to-1 odds.
I don't buy that at all. Especially not after Miami. Potentially for next year. Personally, Joe to Williams with Albon. There you go.
Oh, this is why you don't see it happening, is it? You still believe Zhou's going to end up with that drive. Jamie, they literally, in Shanghai, gave Zhou a special place because they knew it was the only Chinese Grand Prix he's ever going to do.
I don't get the hate for this.
I thought it was quite sweet.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see how people are getting rattled by a driver from a country that's never had a Grand Prix driver before. In his home race, he's quite a young guy. He did an alright job, especially in the sprint part of the weekend. Why not? And the fans absolutely loved it. The cheer when he left when he got into Q3, in the sprint quali, was insane.
Well, every Chinese person that was there, I'm sure, got 200 CCP points.
I like Zhou Guanyu a lot, and I think
he's
a good guy. He's had a very solid start to the season.
He is a good guy as well at the end of the day, and sometimes that does help in Formula One, especially on the fan side of things.
They wouldn't have done that for Latifi at Canada, but then they've had plenty of Canadians before.
Exactly, that's kind of the other bit. A lot of people go, but they didn't do it for Logan in Miami. Yeah, because there's been 700 American drivers in Formula One.
Yeah,
and this one's not one of the best. I get that obviously you want to see Zhou in that seat next year, but surely if you had the choice between Zhou's older than us, isn't he?
Zhou's about our
25?
age. He's 24, I think.
Yeah, I think
he's 24.
I think he's a year older than us. If you've got the option between a 24-year-old in his 4th year of Formula One and potentially a 17-year-old who's one of the hottest prospects on the planet right now.
Yeah, but he's not your hot prospect.
Yeah, but Zhou isn't Williams' hot prospect.
No, but he would be. He would be their driver, though.
Hey?
If he went to Williams, it wouldn't be on loan from somebody. They'd have a long-term driver there if he wanted. And he's all right. He's matched Bottas pretty much over 3 years.
No, he hasn't.
He's not been outrageously off Bottas.
He hasn't been outrageously off Bottas, but he has always been off Bottas.
Yeah,
pretty
Bottas,
much.
Bottas was 3/10 on average slower than Hamilton. I'd say Zhou is maybe 2 or 3/10 off Bottas on average. So
in qualifying trim,
Zhou is half a second off the greatest qualifier of all time.
Oh man, I mean, calling out Senna then, not as the greatest qualifier of all time, is controversial.
Actually,
61 poles in 161 Grand Prix, madness. I want to believe Kimi Antonelli could be in that seat from as soon as Imola. I don't think it'll happen, but I do certainly see Monza being the case.
I'm not sure. We'll move on.
Which would be pretty cool. Formula One. They're looking for another race, ideally in South Korea. I was about to say Korea then, but that probably would have got a shot.
You can't tell. The top
South Korea.
Sold in Korea.
They're looking for a race South Korea, ideally.
That'd be cool.
But they've kind of opened it up to Southeast Asia, haven't they? As well, kind of saying they want a potential for somewhere. Do you know another track, Jamie, in Southeast Asia that is still FIA Grade 1
Malaysia,
listed?
correct?
No, was not the one I was going to say.
Well, I think it is.
It is.
Which other track? India?
Hanoi.
Oh, yes. And David Tanitsa is currently the most successful driver of all time there.
He is. Shout out to David Tanitsa.
I'd love them to go back to Malaysia or Yong'an, but they won't go back to Yong'an.
I would love to see him go back to Yong'an, to be honest, because it probably was a better racetrack than Bud.
It was a great racetrack. Yeah. Korea, one of my favourite tracks to drive in the F1 game back in the day.
It was glorious, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I feel like it probably would have suited the modern hybrid cars as well a bit more. Because it would have been
wide.
a lot of battery management.
Yeah, and really long straights and flowing corners. And Hulk got a P4 there, so he's the GOAT.
I'm just thinking, imagine the 2020 car going around the back end of that track.
Yeah, that'd be insane.
It was so cool. So cool.
Yeah, I would like to see it. Obviously, they want more presence kind of everywhere with the big markets, which is why we see a move towards America and Asia and kind of a move away from Europe because they've kind of already established themselves here.
And have done for the last 50 years.
Yeah, that's where F1 is kind of born and bred, isn't it? So, I like the idea of going to more Asian countries. I would love to see them go back to Korea International, but I don't think they will. A race in Seoul is probably where they'd think.
I think that's where they're eyeing up, isn't it? I mean, I still will absolutely keep banging the drum of we need Fuji on the calendar. I still think they need to run Suzuka and Fuji on back-to-back weekends or something.
Or maybe in rotation.
It's such a good track. I wouldn't even take rotation because I want them both on the calendar. That's the problem. They're both great in different ways.
I'm not a huge fan of Fuji. It's very picturesque.
Fuji's a banger. Well, how can you not like Fuji?
I prefer Suzuka, personally.
But why? What do you prefer?
The drivers love it more.
None of them have driven at Fuji with the exception of Lewis and Fernando. Yeah.
Is that it? That probably is it. Yeah, 07. No, 08 wasn't it last time?
07 and 08, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Suzuka's got more to it as a racetrack.
Does it?
Yeah, it does.
Fuji would, I guarantee you, give us one race at Fuji, it would provide a better race than Suzuka's been able to in the last few years. Guarantee it.
Maybe we'll never find out.
The only reason Fuji got dropped was because of Toyota.
Yeah, Toyota were done, weren't they? Although it got replaced before 09, like for 09, and Toyota was still there.
But it was going to be swapping each year. That was the whole point.
And it just went.
Yeah.
Oh, fair.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you talk about all this, of course, the always question on the other side of that is, well, what tracks are going to get dropped, isn't it?
Yeah.
Imola, apparently this week it hasn't been confirmed yet, but it has been sort of highly kind of anticipated that it will get dropped. Honestly, I love the track for the history, but I can see the reason. Totally. It hasn't delivered a particularly good F1 race, has it, recently?
Absolutely. And I'm actually going to it in a few weeks, which is fun.
Yes, you are, aren't you?
Yeah. So hopefully it doesn't get rained off this year. But, it shouldn't. It was only ever on the calendar as a panic backup in COVID. So I was surprised when it got such a long contract. I think, like, in 21, they gave it until the end of 25, which just seemed a bit mad when it's not really designed for modern cars, and it's not a particularly good track for racing. So, yeah, I'm not that upset about this. And, 2025 will probably be the last one for the foreseeable anyway. So, yeah, it's what it is.
I think the problem with Imola as well was, unfortunately, probably the best race was the first one it hosted back, wasn't it? Because 2020's race... I know you always got... We literally had this fight last week.
Yeah, we'll not get back into it. 2021 was better than 2020, though.
I don't know. But I feel like, it's a shame because, again, it is one of those tracks with so much F1 history as well. And I feel it does kind of serve as kind of a reminder of how far the sport has come. And it is nice to kind of, because obviously you do get a little bit of nostalgia with it and things like that. But also, on the other hand, I'm trying to think in my head about what you could really change to make it a better track. You're pretty limited.
Well, the last corner could definitely be better. Like, the last two Ravazza corners could definitely serve the main straight a bit better, because all they do is split the cars up. So if you just made it a big sharp hairpin or something.
But I feel like, again, I think because it's got so much history, they're kind of reluctant to even do that with it.
Yeah. So it's kind of, adapt or get gone, and it seems like it's going to be gone.
It seems like it's going to be gone. Probably more controversially, is that a rumour on the street is that Spa and Zandvoort could end up in a new deal that sees them swapping each year, a bit like the Nürburgring and Hockenheimring did for a few years. That is really sad.
It would, if this happens, it would be terrible, because they're both very deserving of their place on the calendar. I have seen it coming for a while with Spa, to be honest, because every time it gets towards track contract negotiations, it seems like Spa is the one on the chopping block. So, which is really sad, because it's one of the best tracks on the whole calendar. But if it's going to happen, the signs have been there for a while. So, but Zandvoort really confuses me, because that's been a roaring success since it came back. And obviously they've got the Dutch fans at their home race, and it's just a max party every year. I would be shocked.
You'd get the Dutch fans at Belgium.
Well, you get the Dutch fans at every European circuit, really.
European race, yeah.
I just think I don't see why they would make Zandvoort rotational, because it's such a good race. As in, it's such a good event. Sorry, that
it's a pretty simple answer, though, isn't it?
What's that?
Money. Neither of them can afford to pay each year for a contract in the way that a track in the Middle East can.
Yeah, potentially. But
that's the problem.
Like Zandvoort was race of the year last year, and
probably
they always
helped massively by the rain.
Yeah, it sells out ridiculously fast every year. I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked to see Spa go into a rotational. I don't know what with, if it wasn't Zandvoort.
You say, if it's not Zandvoort, what else could it rotate? I mean, you wouldn't want to. Would you rotate it with a French Grand Prix? Would you rotate it with a Hockenheim?
Yeah, I would quite like it if it's Spa and Hockenheim or Spa and Nürburgring. I wouldn't mind that, because
I'd rather have both and drop Zandvoort.
Well,
to be honest,
yeah, maybe. I don't think that's. I think Spa is going to have to, at some point.
I just cannot see a world. I mean, we've said this. How many times has Spa been on the chopping block, though?
It feels like almost every year for the last few years.
I just can't see a world in which we lose Spa. I think that's the problem, because it is such an iconic track. And it has felt more recently, hasn't it, of what we got. We've got 4 tracks still from the original calendar that are on. Silverstone, Monza, Spa, and... Or is it only those 3?
It was Monaco, not... It's very
Monaco, sorry, yeah, of course. I knew I was forgetting one.
Yeah.
It kind of has felt like in the last few years that obviously, especially with Monaco for a little while, wasn't it? That Liberty were going, oh, well, you need to pay us all this money now, because you've been there forever, it doesn't matter. And kind of a lot of the F1 fans, obviously I get Monaco's a little bit different, but a lot of F1 fans are kind of going, well, actually, no, this place is pretty special. And we get that you're new, but, there's a huge amount of history to this venue, and kind of losing some of these races kind of takes a lot of the DNA out of the sport. Yeah,
a little bit. But we said that about Germany, and we said that people said that
but
about
not
France.
In the same way.
No,
not in the same way, because France has never had a consistent Grand Prix. The invention of Grand Prix racing
was by the French,
and the motor racing. Sorry, not Grand Prix racing, but it was all French. Like, as much as we like to wave our fist at the sky at the French all the time, it was kind of why we have Formula 1 car racing anyway. But it's never had a consistent circuit. But, I mean, I would still say give it to Le Mans. Whether they put in a new GP circuit or something like that, you've got to have something there, surely.
That'd be very cool. But Le Mans is an endurance track, in it, so...
Well, no, I meant they have a GP circuit there for motorbikes and stuff. Which wouldn't deliver a particularly great F1 race, but would be cool as a spectacle. But Spa, I can't see a world in which we lose it. It hurts my brain.
I mean, yeah, it would be sad, but we wouldn't be losing it totally. And it's had time where it's been on and off the calendar too. But
no, it hasn't.
It had 2 years out of 4 at one point.
Did it?
Yeah, 06 and 09.
When?
It wasn't.
09 it was there. Giancarlo Fisichella,
mate.
It was only 06.
Was it? Was it that 1 year?
It was only 06, and that was because they were resurfacing and redoing the bus stop.
Yeah, I forgot. There you go. I thought it was 2 years out of that time, but no, just one.
No.
Kimi Räikkönen just won every year, basically, for four races.
Until 08. Yeah.
He won 09 as well.
He did win 09 again, thanks to Kurz. That should have been Giancarlo's.
Fizzy should have won that. Still hurts.
Or a Toyota. Never forget Toyota that weekend as well. They were actually quicker than Giancarlo when you factor in fuel.
Yeah, but you know what? They had problems, as to quote Jonathan Ledgard.
They did. They had exactly. They had electrical problems on the start, which ruined them. I don't want to talk about Spa being dropped again. It makes me too sad to think about. Let's head to Miami. I mean, we can kind of talk about this a bit more next week, can't we? So we'll briefly mention it. Ferrari and McLaren are going to be running special liveries in Miami. Ferrari, we know it's blue, but we don't know how blue, or whether it's going to have much blue on it at all. Because Ferraris are red. Yeah,
the t-shirts or the shirts that the drivers are wearing are very blue. They're only blue. So
it would be cool to see a blue, like a Miami blue Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I'd quite like to see it. Although I did notice where I think who got through. I guess the Saubers got through Q1. So in Q1 you had the Williams, the Alpines, and the AlphaTauris out, and it was just different shades of blue.
All blue. Yeah.
So to add
it was a couple
one,
of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they would still be red on the board and everything, wouldn't they? They wouldn't change that for the weekend.
They might.
I wouldn't say so. They didn't change McLarens for Monaco, but that was also again because 2021 we had so many blue cars.
Yeah. Who knows? But I mean, it would be cool to see, and they've obviously raced. I'm going to get this wrong. 1967, I believe.
So close. So close.
I can't remember who drove it. Jim Clark and maybe John Surtees.
Did Jim Clark never drove a Ferrari, I don't believe. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to get that. If you do that off the top of your head, I'd be staggered. But yeah, obviously, there's basically Ferrari, for those of you that don't know, basically had a North American racing division, which did race blue cars for quite a while. So it's kind of an homage to that. And they did run the final 2 races of 1964, which were both held in North America.
John Surtees was one of them.
Car as well. John Surtees. You said Jim Clark, sir, so
I said both.
Good.
There you go.
You just said Jim Clark.
No, look at the recording back. I said John Surtees too. Okay. Maybe it lagged.
Maybe you lagged. I tell you what, though, what I'm more excited about, Jamie, I don't know if you've seen this, but for Monaco, McLaren, there's been a leak on the F1 store. We might be getting a Marlboro throwback style livery. Late 80s, early 90s. I would buy that much. I mean, I've already got some of the Golf merch.
I mean, you can't promote tobacco anymore in F1, but
no.
You know what? Just do what all the football teams do and promote alcohol-free alcohol, and it still counts.
Exactly. Well, F1's sponsored by Heineken, so
true.
they can only do so much. That would be... I want to see that so good. And also, MasterCard might be joining Formula 1.
Yes.
MasterCard Lola returns, except for this time around it's going to be with McLaren.
We love MasterCard Lola on this podcast. That's all I've got to say.
McLaren might end up with more sponsors than people working at the team.
Well, HP are sponsoring Ferrari as well. Might be why they're going blue.
Yep, from next year, which I'm a bit sad that it's not going to be Scuderia Ferrari, to be honest.
Is it not? Have they confirmed that?
It's Scuderia Ferrari HP.
I mean, no one's going to... That's cool. It's like it's Red Bull Racing Oracle, isn't it? But, I mean, who actually cares?
Well, a lot less people than care about Ferrari, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably. But, yeah. Well, shall we do your quiz, which is massively...
We can do my quiz?
Jumping back half an hour because we're talking about China.
You've not did a segue, did you?
No.
You've not done a segue.
Because the 2024 Chinese Grand Prix had Lando Norris pick up his first podium of the year.
Yep.
For McLaren in second place. Yep. The last time McLaren finished second at China.
Oh, no. Oh, at China. Okay.
Was in
2012?
2012, indeed.
Oh.
So you have to name the point scorers of that race. You've got a minute. Go.
Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton, Jenson Button, Kimi Räikkönen, Roman Grosjean, Mark Webber, Felipe Massa, Fernando Alonso, Sergio Perez, Nico Hulkenberg.
You got a list of drivers. What is this?
No, I'm just naming drivers off the top of my head. How many more have I got to get?
You've got at least 3.
I said Räikkönen, Heidfeld. No, he was gone by then. Petrov, Maldonado.
I think you've got 2 left.
Senna.
I think you've got 1 left.
Kamui Kobayashi.
There you go. Done.
Yes!
Done. I should have asked you about a harder year. That's very easy.
You should have, yeah. 2012's a weird one. Because it's
very memorable.
Kind of like, but in quite a weird way. Schumacher didn't score points, did he?
No, he should have got a podium.
Did Rosberg?
Rosberg won the race.
I didn't mention him, so Nico Rosberg.
Oh, I thought you said Rosberg.
I didn't say Rosberg.
There you go. Yeah, this is the first ever win.
For some reason, I had it in my head then that was 2011.
No, he should have won 11. And he should have won 2010 as well. He was a goat at China.
Here we go. Have we done everything? It's been a very rambly show. That's been 45 minutes of your life you're never going to get back, ladies and gents.
Yeah.
But I think we've done everything. We like those. Wonderful. Thank you, everybody, as always, so much for listening. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you drop us a follow, drop us a sub, all that good stuff. We're trying to hit 1,000 subs at the moment, but I believe we are closing in still on Jamie183. I want to say, how many are you on?
Oh, it's something like 560. Let me check.
I swear that number keeps going up. I'm getting scared.
I'm on 551. There you go.
Oh, we are 25 behind, ladies and gents. I reckon we're going to do that very, very soon. If I remember to post out some shorts again.
Yeah.
So thank you all, as always.
If you want to be Matt's content creator manager, then let him know.
Please, I desperately need one. I got so much on my plate. But yeah, we will be back next week, hopefully with a normal timed episode, ready to discuss the Miami Grand Prix.